G'day YouTube, welcome back to another video of mine. You probably see me, you can't really see me at the moment, but I'm in nice and close on this LA that I took. Now this was one of the LAs I took in summer to experiment. Now just trying to show you, come in, you can see at the bottom it's actually full of roots. If I go around, I probably can't get the camera away, but we'll try. You see how nice and heavy those roots are, especially towards the bottom. I just can't get the camera all the way around to show you the rest, but that's okay. So you can see the success of an LA. Even though I took it in summer, it did still work. Probably not the best result because it took, now it's in October, it's almost, come full circle 10 months or so before I can remove this. I didn't have enough roots for when I did it in, when I took it in summer. I couldn't remove it in autumn. It was just didn't have enough roots. So really the ultimate goal is to always LA for me, Shimpaku in late winter, early spring. So the other interesting thing is there's an abandoned nest that I found in one of these trees. Because this tree was against the fence, they built a nest here, but haven't seen any activity in it, haven't seen any eggs there or anything like that. Oh well, maybe they built it and then they realised I kept watering my trees and kept interfering in their process, I guess. But there's a nest just sitting in there, interestingly. So I'm just going to go get my saw and we'll saw this off, and I'll see if I can video it whilst I do it. I will. I just think by holding one hand and trying to film the other, there's no way I'm going to be able to cut this, so there's nowhere for me to place the camera. So all I'm going to do is saw this off at this point in here, and what we'll end up having is this nice, huge, quite long, nice Shimpaku juniper that I'll intend to use as a stock plant. But let's let me chop that off and we'll see what it looks like. Just to show you, clean cut right off. You see the massive amount of roots. Okay, now let's go and see where we unwrap this and let's see what it looks like. Okay. All right, everyone. So you've seen me chop it off. This is the size of it. It's like a decent sized tree in itself. So I'm really happy with that result. What I envision this tree to be is, see how there's nice long whips in it? I envision this tree to be I don't think I would do it as a bonsai itself, maybe one time in the long, maybe sometime in the future, but look at the straightness of that trunk. It's actually quite uninteresting and boring. But, if I grow this for a year or two, actually grow for a year, let it establish in its pot, and then I start taking the LAs off it. So this is another stock plant I'm creating from a previous stock plant. So you always have to, what I'm trying to get to is think about your planning, think about growing quality stock long term, think about, have that in mind, like what's the next phase, what's the next 5 years look like in terms of what stock you're going to need, what stock you want to work on, where you're going to get your material from. So this tree, that tree that I just took this off, I'm using the whips on that tree. It's quite an older tree, but it had long whips, and I use those to graft, to approach grafts on a really old piece of spumata, juniper spumata stock. Now, those grafts I took, did summer last year, so it's about a year now. I'll probably have a look at them this year sometime. We'll do some videos on that as well. Might have to put a few more approach grafts on there as well on that tree, depending on how these go. But I noticed this had a nice, really nice top, I guess, that wasn't used. So I thought, yep, let's do it, let's use it, and let's see what it looks like. So stop me talking. Let's unwrap this. Well, you can see anyway, quite substantial rootage. There shouldn't be any problem in establishing this tree in the pot. Let's just make sure we do a nice slow job of this. Always be careful, I guess. Looks alright to me. So far so good. The tricky part's the bottom bit, because you also want to try and get rid of the stub that was left. So I'll move this out of the way. So I just want to get rid of that stub that was left as well. So just the wire's a bit finicky. It's off. And just on the bottom, you want to be careful because some of the roots are starting to wrap around the plastic. That's good. So I'll just get my branch cutters now. Well, not branch cutters, knob cutters, whatever you want to use. But let's try and dig a little bit in here. Let's try and lift the spagum back a bit. Let's get in there. Try and take some of this off, or all of it if we can. A bit harder than I think. I thought. Get there. There we go. Sometimes you got to do it in beats. Okay, so how that bit? That was the ring bark bit. That didn't grow, so the roots will grow above that. So that looks good. I feel like I can get in. Maybe I can get in a bit more. I don't want to be too greedy, but if I do it now, I don't have to worry about it later. Sometimes I'm trying to chop off too much. Just gonna shoot these mosquitoes. Alright, there's another bit there. Okay, so let's have a look. There we go. That's more than enough. More than enough roots to get this tree growing. The thing with this tree is it actually started to brown off a little bit, which meant, you know, these roots weren't feeding it enough. So I really had to get it out of that pot, out of that root layer. And there you go. That's a nice shot. Those nice healthy white roots. Okay, and this tree will just explode in the pot, which I prepared earlier. Just nicely position that in. Because of its height, I might actually have to even tie this in. We'll see. Yeah, see how it's a bit rocking and the wind won't let it really settle, so I'm going to have to just put some wire around it and just tie it to the pot just to keep it secure. Once I've finished putting the soil on. So just get some wire. Luckily I got wire around here after I was working on a tree. Now this will pretty much go back in the garden, wherever I needs to go, I guess. And I'm just going to make some holes in this pot. Beauty with plastic is things just thread through quite easily. You got no problems. Just make it nice and secure that side. Sorry, this is kind of boring, but just maybe it's an important message, you know, make sure even nursery stock, if you transplant it, sometimes you need to tie it in if it's a bit too loose. Yeah, so that's better. So I've tied it on two ends, so it's nice and stable. Might do one more, but I'll do that later. There you go, guys. That's a nice piece of material that will grow for a year at least, and then have it ready. In a year's time, it should be strong enough. This pot should be close to full of roots, because look at the foliage. It's got a massive amount of foliage. We haven't touched the foliage. Massive amount of foliage. Let it recover. Let it photosynthesize. Let it grow the roots. The roots will fill the pot, and then the next year, I think pretty much you'll start to really shoot along. Put out more shoots. Let's start taking air layers off and create more stock. So I'll just quickly show you one more little snippet of a video why why it's good to plan out what stock you got for the future. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so there it is in the garden, watered and just sitting there, pick up the sun, get the growth going, and no problems. But this is why our air layer, having lots of stock to work through. There's a couple of air layers I took earlier in the season. So there you go, it's more air layers, but this is all the stock that I'm building up so I've got things to work on in the years to come. All these little individual pots, you can see that. There's a few bits and pieces in this lot over here, but that's the reason I like the air layer, having lots of stock to grow in the future. A lot of those are wired, a lot of those are recovering from air layers. See, some are wide, you see that, there's some wire on that one, you see that. But yeah, that's the reason I do it. Alright guys, that's enough for me. Hope you enjoyed that video, and stay tuned for more. See you next time. Bye.